Welcome to part 3 of my somewhat wild trip to Rekohu, Chatham Island. I have sustained some rudder damage but arrived unassisted. In this episode I shall attempt to repair my rudder in the most remote inhabited part of New Zealand, and of course to explore this island which few people fail to. Here's what's left of the rudder that I repaired. What it looks like is my weld was fucking shit. It must have just been on the surface. I needed to chamfer it, obviously. Fair price for a valuable lesson. This was one of the times I paid the expensive price. This island has a lot of fishing boats and will have stuff to repair. I'm pretty sure I saw that there's an engineering place in Waitangi. I'm going to try to solicit the services of a professional welder. Or at least someone who knows what they're doing. It's worth it. Boat's sitting a little low. There's some water to get out. First thing, I had a coffee, made a list of all the things I have to repair, some of them which I should have done before I left, but not before I take a walk on the beach. This shell is power. It's like the shininess on the inside is like iconic kiwiana. They're just all over the beach here. It looks like if you rub the outside off. No one says that island doesn't have any palm trees. Look at this. Here's one for Marty T. I'm just standing here on this rock in this desolate bay with a big grin on my face. I've wanted to come here for a while, but I'm even surprised that I'm this happy about it. I've been sending my friends a few emails. There's just enough internet to send text emails, but not photos. So you're going to have to wait. I don't think I'm going to be able to upload the video from here. So by the time you're watching this, I'm probably back in New Zealand. My battery is nearly full and taking in 11 amps, so that's great, happy with that. Lightly raining and fully cloudy, but now it's still overcast, but like a bright, thin overcast. Occasionally the sun pokes out. A little bit of water. My spare warm stuff is packed in these vacuum bags. They're meant for a vacuum cleaner, but you can just use your lungs, just suck it out. It's pretty well. Sometimes they get some extra bags. It's actually turned into a really nice day for trying everything out. Okay, this is one of my most important things. This is the charge controller for the outboard battery. It stopped working, but it looks like it was just corrosion. Something I should have a backup of. Without that, I don't have very much range. But with that, I have basically infinite range because I can keep on recharging. It's working, so instead of doing it the old school way, now I'm going to slather that in Vaseline. We are back in business with the solar energy harvesting. I've pulled up to the beach so I can tighten the lashings. Small waves here keep washing it back, so I put the lines onto the winches and pulled them tight. I also figured that parking my boat on the beach was a surefire way to meet some locals, and indeed that worked, and soon I was offered a mooring to use. These sheep look like they were well overdue for a haircut. Things are just squat across bush. This is what the north end of the island looks like. Low, windswept, with volcanic peaks poking up. The view from on top of the hill looking down into Port Hutt, one of the top 2 anchorages on the island. Top of the hill to see if the next bay down is any good. It looks like it's good in a northerly. Look at the surf on that reef. And there's not even swell today. fourth day on Chatham Island. It's been raining all morning. Kind of expected. The name, the Moriori name, Rekohu, means misty skies. It's been cloudy every day, with some sun occasionally, but this is the first rain. It's been raining solidly all morning. But I've nearly refilled all of my water tanks, so and they were a bit low, so I'm happy about that. Okay, it's meant to be like 30 knots southwest right now, and you can see those treetops really moving. But we're like totally protected in here. Very, very nice. There's a great big anchor down there. Is that actually what the mooring is? Looks like it. After waiting for some strong northerly and westerly weather to pass, I headed over to Waitangi, where I hoped to repair my rudder and immerse myself in the hustle and bustle of Chatham Island's largest settlement. It was dead calm inside of Port Hart. Maybe 12 knot breeze out here, and the swell's quite big. Quite cold today, 12 degrees. It's basically like a winter day up north. Look at that, there's actually a sail in the distance. It might have just left because it's a good weather window to go back to New Zealand right now. I later learned that only a handful of sailboats come here each year. Just landed the crow on the beach. Harbour master came and said hi. He actually picked me up hitchhiking yesterday. Anyway, he gave me mooring, offered me mooring fees, and recommended me a welder, so my problems are over. Road sign behind me is like Chatham Island Sky Tower. Everyone takes photos of this. All the online research I was doing, I looked at a lot of photos that other people had taken of their holidays here. Everyone has this photo. I presume that the bottle store, the Catholic Church and the hospital are all the same place, and the priest runs the bottle store and is the doctor as well. Guess this is the church. This is the bottle store. Just making measurements of what's left of my rudders and drawing up a plan for how to repair it. That's the pub there, not just the cars. There's one hatchback and a van. I think the van's for moving tourists. When I was 17, it was the year 2000, and I remember it was a big, people were like, Chatham Island was the first to see the sunrise because the dad like that. And so it was like, this was the premium like tourist destination, so you could be the first one to see the sunrise in the whole millennium. However, in the since I've been here, it's been cloudy every single morning. So you'd get a sunrise like this. Day 2 in Waitangi. The weather's been shit, but made great progress with the rudder. Phil's welding for me. I asked him, would it be okay if I film some stuff? He said, no. I said, well, that's why I asked. I said, thank you for asking. So there's no footage of that, which is a shame because the workshop is amazing. You would have loved to see that. But I've got to have a rudder again. I'm going to have 2 rudders again soon. Very relieved to have that. The pipe it was made from, which is actually not in the plans, is actually seems like a really standard 1-inch diameter pipe. He had some lying around, so I don't even have a pipe welded back together. I've got a whole pipe, one piece. Yep, put some epoxy primer on that, and got to make a plywood blade and fiberglass and shit like that tomorrow. Rapa. Here we rode, also known as Easter Island. The fences disappeared, but there were still road signs, so this must be a public road. So I rode my bike, and I did receive a very friendly wave from a passing ute at one point, so it must have been okay. I even saw a couple of emus. They're native to Australia, but there was a bit of an emu fad in New Zealand in the 90s. And of course, a lot of sheep. There's a great big shallow lagoon in the inside of the island, the entrance being a bar on the east coast. It looked like it might be possible to get my boat in, but of course it would need good weather to go around the other side, small swell, local knowledge, basically a much longer trip planned to the island to pull that off. So back to Waitangi. I'd had a week of rainy southerly weather while I was fixing the rudder. Forecast is currently 25 knot southerly. It's definitely not 25 knots here, maybe out in the ocean. I nearly got in trouble for boat not being recently anti-tailed. I had looked before. I had looked at it, I'm sure I thought all the available information coming to Chatham's. I didn't see anything about. But anyway, now we know, yes, please make sure your boat has been in the if it's been 6 months, they'll be happy. You could get fined or something. I got mine out, it was pretty much clean. So sailing around mainland New Zealand, I'm used to arriving and being pretty much anonymous, not having any kind of interaction with the authorities. But Chatham Island is absolutely not like that. The authorities, like the Harbour Master Environment Canterbury guy, are just other friendly people, but they have a job to do. And you're the mad bastard who just sailed here in a small boat, so you're definitely not going to be anonymous. So if after watching this, you are crazy enough to actually want to sail here, what I would recommend doing what I didn't do, which is contact those people before and asking them questions and letting them know you're coming and that sort of stuff. As it's also just quite difficult to get information about what it's like to sail to Chatham Island. I'm sure there's also lots of useful tips and stuff like that they could give you. So the rudder was ready, or so I thought. I fit it on the boat and then discovered there was something wrong with the pintle. So not quite out of the woods with this rudder thing. Now it's the pintle, it's a bit damaged. It's a bit of tube, not a solid rod like the plans say, and like I made on the other side. I really need to get it out of the water so I can hit it with a hammer or something like that, or maybe an angle grinder. I'm sure I can come up with something. I'm sail back to the other side where the tides are a little bit higher. The difference between 40 centimeters here, which isn't enough to actually dry it out, to 80 centimeters there, which is 20 centimeters extra. Yeah, and I hope I can get this sorted out. There's always a way, but I'd like to get it sorted out soon. So according to gossip at the pub last night, there is a sailboat coming that has some kind of mast damage that dropped out of some round the world race or something, and it's been limping into Chatham Island. And I see a sailboat directly ahead of me, with a very tall mast. It was a shame to be leaving just as the other sailor was arriving, but I really needed to get this rudder fixed, and I did meet him later. Sailed over to Ocean Bay on the south side of the north end of the island. Winds, it's not properly sheltered right now, but the forecast is to go around to the west this evening. Sorry, this way. It's been a pretty good day today. It only had very light rain. Now it's not raining at all. Basically, standard weather is it's just spitting lightly. That's normal most of the time. If it's actually now, I'm not getting rained on at all. That's good. I'm happy. And if you can see a bit of blue sky, and I could see some before, you're doing good. And if the sun's shining straight through that blue sky onto you, well, that's a great day. There are a row of south-facing bays on the north end of the island, but Ocean Bay, the outermost one, faces more to the southeast, so it gives you some southwest protection. On this tree I found a kind of open-air museum that just had a collection of artifacts drawn on it, including some amazing stone tools. Very knife-like stone tools. And that is a definite chopper. Possibly broke wrong and didn't end up getting good. Yeah, there wasn't metal here. Metal tools were in here until 1790, so it's not even that long ago. It was quite a beautiful bay, but I felt there was a little bit too much swell coming in to feel confident parking on the beach. So I headed back to Port Hutt, and there I saw an actual sunrise. So it was possible. Quite a sunny day today. I think it seems like northwest weather more likely to be sunny. This is sunny. This is very sunny. I decided to figure out that the best policy on this island was to ask permission before doing things. So I asked the local landowner if it was okay if I parked on his beach, and he said good as gold. A bit of hammering and the rudder was on. Feels very good to have 2 rudders again. That's the hard part. Got to put a few things back together and then we're seaworthy again. There's just one tiny little cloud. Very lovely day, but ominously so, because the storm's coming. Been up long enough to drink a coffee and the wind's really picked up quite a lot. Now there's some white caps. The Gale gave me opportunity to do some baking, so I decided to try something. So this is big triumph of today. I made some cookies. They're intentionally unappetizing, not too appetizing, so that I wouldn't just eat them all. But it's like flour, oats, sugar, these cocoa nib things that I had. They're not sweet, they're very bitter. Oh, some butter and baking powder, and it actually turned out really well, considering I don't even have an oven. Because you sometimes need like pre-cooked stuff like muesli bars and shit like that, so you can just be like, I need energy now. But you don't want them to be too good, so you don't just eat them all. So I might refine that recipe, and you might see more of that. It's been just really stormy. That was actually sunny before. It was also a good opportunity to catch up on some video editing. Just sailing back from Port Hutt to Waitangi for probably the last time. With the forecast to go strong westerly than southwesterly, and a lot more south than west, and that will make Waitangi even a place to be and to leave from. Also a chance to test the new rudders and reset up self-steering gear. It's like the supply ship, is that? Pretty big. This is what Waitangi looks like in 25 knot northwesterly. Pretty gusty coming over the hill, but water's pretty much flat. Waitangi gives you an all-round anchorage, but because of all the moorings, there's only really room to anchor if you're shallow draft. If you have a keeler, I would recommend contacting the harbour master first. It's like a sheep boat ride. It was looking like the sailback was going to have a lot of sail changes, so I installed a second forestay out of some Dyneema I had. This would enable me to have 2 sails hanked on at once, so I could easily drop one and raise the other without unhanking them. There was a westerly gale coming through. The protection from the westerly wind is not as good as Port Hutt, and the swell starts to wrap around and make waves that break on the rocks, making landing a bit more precarious. But I managed to get ashore and walk up the hill to take a look. I was expecting the wind to turn a bit more south and to ease a little bit. It didn't really look like a good window, southwest and then northwest, but at least it wasn't gale force, and at least it wasn't dead the way I was trying to go. And it might not get better. It's still pretty windy out there, and the direction could be a little bit more favourable. According to the weather model, 7 PM should be down to 20 knots. Oh yeah, and I met the other sailor. Alessandra had sailed from Europe to the Southern Ocean, and then all the way past New Zealand, we had the rigging failure of the starboard inner stay between the first and second spreader. Figuring that if one part of the rigging failed, the rest of it was highly suspect, he turned back towards New Zealand. He was heading to Auckland, but a gale was approaching, and he decided to put into Chatham Island. Yeah, so now you see the sort of sailor that comes to Chatham Island. John hitched the mooring. We're away. After a busy day getting ready, the wind eased enough to leave. Thanks for watching, and check back soon for the return trip, which should make getting here look easy.